Somewhere right now, a jellyfish is technically immortal. A lobster is still swiping right, and you, a human, just made a noise standing up from the couch that your grandfather used to make. That noise is not a personality quirk. That noise is science. That noise is thousands of tiny biological processes filing their final paperwork. Today, we're talking about aging. The only disease that has a 100% infection rate, no known cure, and somehow still isn't technically classified as a disease. Rude. By the end of this, you'll understand why your cells are basically a group project where half the members stopped replying in the group chat, but nobody got kicked out. Here's the twist. Aging isn't one thing breaking. It's about a dozen things breaking at slightly different speeds. Like a car where the radio, the brakes, and the cup holder all give up on their own personal timelines. Scientists call these the hallmarks of aging, a checklist of biological failures that all pile up together. A few of the greatest hits: your DNA accumulates damage over time, like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, technically still the same document, just with more coffee stains. Your mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, as every seventh grader is contractually obligated to say, get less efficient. So your cells are running on a phone battery that says 100%, but dies the second you open the camera app. And your stem cells, the ones that are supposed to replace worn-out cells, start showing up to work less and less, like an employee who's technically still on payroll but hasn't been seen since March. None of this is one villain. It's an ensemble cast of decline. A Marvel movie if the Avengers just slowly stopped answering their texts. You know the little plastic bit on the end of a shoelace that keeps it from fraying? That's called an aglet. Yes, it has a name. Yes, you're welcome. Your chromosomes have the exact same setup. They're capped with repetitive stretches of DNA called telomeres, and every single time a cell divides, the telomeres get a little shorter, because the enzyme copying your DNA can't quite finish the very end of the strand. It's like photocopying a page, but the machine always eats the last half-inch of margin. Eventually, the telomeres get so short, the cell says, I cannot in good conscience divide again. And it stops, permanently. This cap on cell division is called the Hayflick limit, named after Leonard Hayflick, who discovered in the 1960s that human cells only divide around 40 to 60 times before calling it quits, which means somewhere in your body right now, a cell is one Xerox copy away from retirement. And yes, there's an enzyme called telomerase that can rebuild those tips and keep cells dividing indefinitely. Your skin cells barely use it. Your cancer cells, on the other hand, love it, which is the plot twist nobody asked for. The cells most desperate to live forever are usually the ones actively trying to kill you. Once a cell hits its division limit, it doesn't politely die. It becomes what scientists call senescent, which is the polite academic term for zombie cell. A senescent cell won't divide, won't do its job, and won't leave. Instead, it just sits there in your tissue, releasing a cocktail of inflammatory chemicals into the neighborhood, a process with the wonderfully bureaucratic name senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP, because scientists really did look at a zombie cell oozing inflammatory signals and thought, let's file this under acronyms. Here's the kicker. Young bodies have systems to clear these zombie cells out. Older bodies get worse at cleanup. So they accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, like group chat notifications you've stopped opening, except each one is quietly inflaming your joints. There's an entire field now built around drugs called senolytics, designed to specifically hunt down and kill these senescent cells, which means somewhere, right now, there are scientists whose entire job is being a professional zombie hunter for your kneecaps. For decades, the leading theory was that aging is basically your body rusting from the inside. Unstable molecules called free radicals, produced as a byproduct of making energy, banging around your cells and damaging DNA, proteins, and membranes. Add it all up over 80 years and you get, well, you. This theory was so popular, it launched an entire antioxidant supplement industry. Vitamin E, vitamin C, blueberries with their own publicist. Except here's the part the supplement aisle conveniently leaves off the label. Multiple large human trials of antioxidant supplements didn't extend lifespan, and some even correlated with worse outcomes. It turns out free radicals aren't purely a villain. Your cells also use them as signaling molecules, tiny messages saying, hey, stress happening, adapt please. Mop up all of them with megadose supplements, and you might be deleting useful memos along with the junk mail. So the leading theory of aging for 50 years turned out to be complicated, which honestly tracks for a field where the final boss is time. Here's the one intervention that keeps showing up across yeast, worms, flies, and mice: eating less. Caloric restriction, reducing calorie intake without starving to the point of malnutrition, reliably extends lifespan in lab animals. Mice on restricted diets live meaningfully longer and get less cancer. Nobody fully agrees on why, but the leading idea is that hunger flips cells into a repair and recycle mode called autophagy, where your cells basically start eating their own broken furniture instead of buying new stuff they can't afford. Two drugs are riding this same wave in ongoing human research: rapamycin, originally an immune-suppressing drug from a fungus found on Easter Island, and metformin, a decades-old diabetes drug so boring it makes lists of top requested longevity drugs almost by accident. Both seem to nudge the same nutrient-sensing pathways that caloric restriction hits. Translation: the secret to a longer life might genuinely be eat a bit less and take a diabetes drug from the 1950s. Somewhere, an entire industry selling $80 vertical light therapy age reversal pods just felt a disturbance in the force. You've probably heard of blue zones: Okinawa, Sardinia, Nicoya, Icaria, regions famous for producing suspiciously high numbers of centenarians, credited to diet, community, and gentle island vibes. Here's the twist your dentist won't tell you. Several of these regions have come under serious scrutiny because remote areas with poor historical birth records also tend to have more accidental or fraudulent age claims. Pension fraud being a very real motivator to claim your grandmother is 114. Some researchers have found a correlation between extreme old age hotspots and simply missing paperwork. Which doesn't mean lifestyle doesn't matter. Strong social ties and a plant-heavy diet are genuinely, robustly linked to healthy aging in solid data everywhere. It just means the specific 119-year-old villager stat may be less biology, more bureaucracy. Aging science, where even the good news needs a fact check. Not everything ages the way we do, and it is deeply unfair. Naked mole rats barely age at all for their size. No increased cancer risk, no increased death risk for decades of their life, thanks partly to a weird, extra gooey form of a sugar molecule in their tissue that seems to block tumors before they start. Greenland sharks live an estimated 300 to 500 years, reaching sexual maturity around age 150, which means somewhere in the North Atlantic, there's a shark still going through what is biologically its awkward teenage phase. And lobsters, despite the persistent internet legend, are not actually immortal. They keep growing and keep producing telomerase throughout their lives, so they don't show the same aging decline we do. But they still die, often from the sheer metabolic cost of molting their own shell, which is either deeply inspiring or a cautionary tale about how expensive it is to keep reinventing yourself. So next time you stand up from a couch and make that noise, the one your grandfather made, remember what's actually happening. Your telomeres are a little shorter, a few zombie cells are throwing a small inflammatory party in your knee, and your mitochondria are running on a phone battery that lies about its percentage. It's not decline. It's paperwork. Biological, slow-motion, deeply undignified paperwork. The jellyfish still wins, but at least you, unlike the lobster, know when to stop growing into a shell you can't afford.